If you're an international medical graduate planning to work in the UK, one of the first steps you'll need to take is GMC registration. Without it, you simply can't practice medicine in the UK, NHS or private. I know the process can feel a little overwhelming, but don't worry. In this video, I'm going to walk you through it all. We're going to go step by step and cover what GMC registration actually is, who needs to take the PLAB and who doesn't, what counts as a valid internship, common mistakes to avoid, and what happens after you've received GMC registration. Stick around till the end. We've got a free checklist that's going to make your life much easier. The GMC, or General Medical Council, is the body that regulates doctors in the UK. If you want to treat patients, even in a non-training role, you'll need to be registered with them. There are 4 types of registration. The first is provisional. The second is full GMC registration. We've then got the GP register and then the specialist register. We're going to break all of these down so you know exactly where you fit in. Let's start with provisional registration. This is usually for 2 groups. The first is UK graduates who've just finished med school. The second is for international doctors without a recognised internship. So if you fall into that second group, the GMC is going to expect you to do a formal FY1 post here in the UK. Now, if you want your internship to count, it needs to meet a few criteria. These are: it needs to be at least 12 months long. It needs to be unbroken. It needs to be supervised. And it has to include rotations in both medicine and surgery. If it doesn't meet all of these points, even if you've passed the PLAB, you'll only get provisional registration. Thousands of international doctors face the same delays, confusion and lost job offers every year. And that's exactly why we've built Health Hire Portal, a complete platform to help you succeed in your NHS journey. Created by Health Hire, we've already helped candidates secure roles at leading UK hospitals, including King's College in London, the Christie in Manchester, and teaching trusts across the UK. Inside the platform, you'll get a clear guide to GMC registration, templates and examples of supporting information and CVs that actually get interviews, interview prep tools including real questions and red flags, trust-specific application guidance, and a full relocation checklist from offer to visa. Most doctors waste 30 to 40 hours trying to piece this together from scratch and lose months to avoidable delays. Health Hire Portal gives you the tools, structure and confidence to move forward fast. It's just a one-time payment of £70 for lifetime access, no subscriptions. Content is updated regularly and you'll get access to real support if you need help at any point. Whether you are still applying for GMC registration, job hunting, or at the interview stage, Health Hire Portal will guide you step by step. Visit www.healthhireuk.com or email info@healthhireuk.com to get started. Now, this is the one most IMGs are aiming for: full registration. To get it, you'll need 2 things. Number 1, a valid internship. We've gone through the criteria in the previous section. And the second, proof of clinical knowledge and skills. So the internship, like we've mentioned before, it's got to last 12 to 18 months with a minimum of 3 in medicine and 3 in surgery. That's 3 months, not 3 days. If it was 18 months or more, then you need at least 6 months in each of these sections. A quick example. So if you've got 6 months in internal medicine and 6 in general surgery, this is going to be accepted. However, if you've got 2 months here, 1 month there, it doesn't meet the requirement. So how do you prove your knowledge and skills? We've proved our internship, that's fine. Now it's proving the knowledge and skills. There's 2 main routes to do this. The first is the PLAB. So you need to pass both the PLAB 1 and the PLAB 2, or you need to have a GMC registered postgrad qualification. This is like the MRCP UK or the FRCR or another equivalent postgrad qualification that the GMC recognizes. Once you've received your full registration, that means you can now apply for clinical fellow roles. These are great first jobs, by the way, if you're coming into the UK. Trust grade posts, again, great first jobs for coming into the UK. And then a core training program. Our advice is going to be to go for the first two rather than going straight into the core training program. We're going to talk about this in another video. But, and this is important, you still can't be a consultant or a GP. We're going to come to that in a second. If your goal is to work as a GP or consultant in the UK, there's a separate register for that. You'll need to go through one of these. We have the CESR, which is a certificate of eligibility for the specialist registration, or the CEGPR, which is the same for general practice. Both involve quite a deep review actually of your training and experience, and it really needs to be comparable to UK standards. And I'm going to be honest, it's not a quick process, but many IMGs do go down this route. We're now going to go over PLAB. The PLAB exams test whether you're ready to practice safely as a doctor here in the UK. PLAB 1 is a written MCQ exam. It's got around 180 questions. And PLAB 2 is an OSCE with around 16 stations, each at 8 minutes with 2 minutes of reading time before each station. Before you can book your PLAB 1 examination, you'll need to prove your English. There are two ways to go about this. We are going to have a separate video talking more about the two English tests. But as a quick overview here, we've got the IELTS test, which you need to have at least 7.5 overall with a minimum of 7 in each area, or the OET test, and you need to have a B grade in all 4 areas. Once you've passed both the PLAB and your internships accepted, you're good to apply for the full registration. Now, some of you have been messaging us saying, do I need PLAB if I've got other qualifications? So we're going to talk about what qualifications mean you can be exempt from the PLAB examinations. So the first is if you've got a GMC approved postgrad qualification. This is something like the MRCP or the FRCR, or if you've trained in certain EEA countries. We will leave a link in the comments or in the video where you can test yourself against these criteria. Or if your clinical experience is considered equivalent. But just a heads up, if you've only passed part of an examination such as the MRCP, that's not enough. You're going to need the full qualification. We will leave some links below though, so you can test your qualifications and see if you can avoid taking the PLAB examination. That's going to save you money and save you time. Now, we're going to talk about EPIC, the EPIC verification system. This is the process that most IMG doctors are going to use to verify their primary medical degree. It's run by an organization in the US. In most cases, if you're going for full registration, you're going to go through EPIC. The exception is if you're applying for provisional registration, the GMC may verify your documents themselves, but please do confirm with the GMC. Now, in terms of the EPIC verification, we're going to leave all the links below, and the links are also on our website at healthhireuk.com. We've got a handy section with all the articles, all the links, and more information that you can read in your own time. Moving on to the EPIC verification system, first of all, you need to make that account. You then need to upload your degree, and you need to do an identity check. You then need to ask EPIC to send your report to the GMC. In terms of the timescales, some people think it can be done very quickly. It will take some time. We're looking around 6 weeks for most people, and 3 out of 4 people will have their verification completed within 3 months. So do plan accordingly and start as early as you can. In terms of rough timelines for the whole process, The EPIC verification, like we've just mentioned, 1 to 3 months. You may be lucky and you might come through fairly quickly, but do expect to wait around 3 months and plan for that time scale. Your PLAB process is going to take around 4 to 6 months, and your GMC application 2 to 4 weeks. Again, these are rough guides. The timescales can vary depending on how many applications are going through the system, or if there's anything in particular that's special or different about your application, and in that case, it may take longer. So our advice is to start this process, particularly the EPIC verification, as soon as you can. Now, in terms of what you're going to need before you start this whole process, you're going to need your primary medical qualifications. You're going to need your proof of internship. We've already gone through the criteria for that. And you're going to need EPIC verification. You're going to need a certificate of good standing from the last 3 months. You're going to need valid ID, ideally an up-to-date passport or a valid passport. You're going to need your English test results and either PLAB or your postgrad qualification, like we've already talked about. And to make sure everything is clear, if it needs translating, your documents should be officially translated and stamped or signed by whoever has done that process for you. Let's save you some stress. Here are mistakes that delay applications if your internship is not meeting the criteria. EPIC not done, or you've had a delay with your EPIC verification. If your English test has expired, if your certificate of good standing is too old, and your documents are blurry and not translated. So please double check everything before you hit that submit button. All of these are fairly easy to check over. Maybe get a colleague to double check all your documents before you press the submit button. One last thing, and it's important. Getting GMC registration doesn't mean you've got a job. You still need to apply for NHS posts. You still need to get shortlisted. You still need to be offered a job, and you still need to be sponsored for a skilled worker visa, unless you already have a right to work in the UK, of course. Lots of employers won't even look at your application until you're already registered with the GMC. All right, let's recap. So you're going to need GMC registration to practice in the UK. You need to prove your English and your clinical skills, either through PLAB or an appropriate postgraduate qualification. You need to make sure your internship fits the criteria. Most IMGs are going to need EPIC verification, and remember, registration is just the first step. If you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments below. If you need any help with the whole process, just reach out, we can help you. Thanks for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please like and subscribe for more real NHS career content. If you've got any questions or video requests, drop them in the comments. And if you're serious about landing your NHS job, don't waste time on guesswork. Health Hire Portal gives you the exact tools, checklists and guidance used by successful candidates across the UK. Just £70 for lifetime access, no ongoing fees. Built-in support, updated regularly. Visit www.healthhireuk.com or drop an email at info@healthhireuk.com.